time to cut the cackle and get on with the show. It's my pleasure this morning to announce and introduce our MC for the meeting. I've looked at his resume. It looks like a police record when you look at all his attributes. But in summary, past state president of Queensland, vice president National Swap in New Zealand, past club president of Premier Swap, Gold Coast Swap, Auckland Achievers, an honorary life member. Please welcome Mr. Charlie Nichols.
Hey.
Charlie.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We have a massive meeting today, and as per before, we're going to start off with Grace, and we're going to move through as quickly as forward today. Dear Lord, we thank you for the food and this opportunity to fellowship, and ask you to bless this meeting and all swap gatherings around the world. Amen.
Amen.
Now,
Amen.
who's from New Zealand? Can you give us a big hoy from New Zealand?
Hey! Oh my gosh.
We just sang the New Zealand national anthem, so give yourselves a good clap. There you go. Yay!
Both verses, I hope.
If you're from the USA, can you give us a big hoy from the USA?
Hey!
We've just done the national anthem too. Thank you. What about Canada? Is anybody from Canada here today? Is Lynette Trumper with us? No, not Canada. What about Australia? Are you from Australia?
Absolutely.
Anthem. And just to make sure we've got everybody, we've just done the Lao national anthem as well, even though I don't know the words. Hey, for Lao, thank you. Now, the Swap Creed, we're going to do the Swap Creed. I do hereby promise and pledge that from today onward, I'll continually strive and think positive manner and have positive thoughts with regard to my profession and the life I am living. I realise the importance of the right attitude to make this pledge, as I'm aware of the truth in the law stating, as a person thinks in their heart, so they shall be. Now, welcome to all our dignitaries here today. If you're a past national president, welcome, or past national vice president, past board member, past club president, past club secretary, and everybody. I think everybody's done the job. So
I think we're all past it.
yeah, we're past it.
We passed
So,
it.
everybody's happy. Righto. Anyone got a birthday today?
Through the body senses.
No?
Separation is real, sin's real, guilt's real.
Jeff Wilson is not with us.
I've got one next week, Charlie.
Years of separation.
I got one next year.
Sue Skinner's birthday today, and I think she's going to be on the call, but she's on the Gold Coast. I just checked her link earlier on. She's not quite here yet, but we can still say happy birthday.
Who is that?
Susan Skinner
Susan Skinner, right? Excellent.
from
Now-
Bayside Swap.
I'm going to take my hat off now because we're going to do a live, I'm well, and I feel great. So on the count of three, are you ready?
We won't knock each other out.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel great. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel great. I'm well, and I feel great.
I feel great. And I feel well. And I feel great.
Great.
Woohoo!
I feel better.
Now, Walter, we're on.
Now, before we get into today's activities, I want to call entertainment report.
Howdy.
Yeah? Are you there?
Who's report?
Who did you say? Because that crackled.
Sylvia, can you please?
Sylvia. Yeah.
Oh, me.
Yeah,
Oh,
just hang
goodness.
on.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Sylvia.
I lift up a bit. Okay. This is our entertainment report. We're coming up to our convention in February 2022, and it's actually going to be Rio on the sunny coast. We've got so much planned for that day. The itinerary is massive, and I just wanted to encourage you to come along. I know the Sydney people will be probably free from not travelling. So hopefully they will travel to Queensland to come to the convention. It's been too long since we've seen our wonderful southern brothers and sisters from Melbourne and Sydney. So it would be awesome if you could make an effort to be there. Honestly, we're just going to have so much fun. We've even got a person who's an expert in Rio dances going to teach us how to dance properly on gala night. So we're having a wonderful, wonderful gala night on the traditional Wednesday that we've been doing now. So if you haven't booked in, have a look at the SWAP website. It'll give you the full itinerary. It's too long to actually talk about right now, but have a good look at it. And if you're not sure, just email me and I'll forward it to you. But I really would love you to be there. We've got so many already coming, but there's definitely room for more. So all the best to you wherever you are. Love you all and look forward to seeing you at convention.
Excellent. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thanks, Charlie.
Now, the next part of our agenda obviously is the thoughts of the day. However, I need to change it slightly, and let me explain why. We're going to be doing this sweep today so that everyone in the audience is going to get themselves a horse in the Melbourne Cup today. So we've got 2 sweeps. So what we're going to do, we have a register here of when you registered in the order that you registered. So we're going to call on you for your thought of the day in order as you registered. And when your thought of the day is over, then we'll draw a horse for you so that you'll know which horse that you've got. The prizes are for the first horse, they're going to get $25, for the second, $15, and for the third is $10. All right. And our thoughts judge today, and he can be bribed, is Paddy Sweeney.
Oh, Paddy, I've always loved you. You know that.
The chief of bribery and corruption.
The first one booked in was Rhonda Buttery. So Rhonda, can you give us your thought of the day, please?
Yes, I am Rhonda Buttery. And my thought of the day is we can't go back and make a better start, but we can go on and make a better finish.
Excellent.
Very good.
Draw out a horse for yourself.
Oh, how did we decide to do this? Just pick. How many horses are in the race?
24.
I'll have number 12. Thank you.
Draw a horse out. I thought we agreed that you draw a number out, and that's your horse.
You didn't answer that email. I've picked one.
What number is it?
12.
Righto. 12. So somebody write that down, please.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
I'm the next one to register. My name is Charlie Nichols. With Sandra here, we live in Laos at the Lao Lake House. And my thought of the day comes from an old TV ad. Good, better, best. I shall never rest until my good is better and my better best.
Okay, you can have number 14, Charlie.
Oh, I don't want number 14.
Well, you're getting 14.
Do as you're told, Charlie.
You told me I was picking numbers.
Susan Phillips, you're next.
My thought for I'm Susan Phillips. Good morning, ex-Van Diemen swap. Well, there's no swap anymore, but anyway, I'm part of this swap now. And my thought for the day is your mind is very powerful. Feed it with positive thoughts and your life will change.
Wonderful. And you're number 4, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Calling on Harry Kay.
Oh, Harry Kay on the Sunshine Coast. My thought of the day is how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours.
Excellent.
Very good.
Number 22, Harry.
Done. Thank you.
And I tell you, I haven't looked at the form yet, so these numbers are totally random.
Palin Brinkworth. Are you there, Catherine?
No.
I
Hello.
I don't think she's on.
Ines, hello.
Hello.
There she is.
Sandra Pike?
Good morning, everyone. In Mars, we're coming into the end of the monsoon rainy season, and we haven't seen sun or stars for quite a while. Reminded me that stars, you don't always see them, always know they're there.
Okay,
Yeah.
number 17, Sandra.
Thank you.
Mike O'Hagan?
Yeah, yes, good morning. And
Hi,
Angie's going to do her thought.
Mike didn't
Right.
sign me up.
I didn't sign her up.
All right, my thought for today is whatever you do, always give your 100%. Well, unless you're donating blood.
Number 18 for Mike and Ange.
Thank you.
Well, they can have,
What was it, number
can
one?
have one. You got a thought for the day? So you've got number 18, Ange. Mike?
Thank you. You want a
Okay,
thought
both
from
read.
myself? A horse gallops with his lungs, preserves with his heart, and wins with his character.
Beautiful. 24, Mike.
Thank you.
Gillian, are you there?
What a big one.
No.
What is that?
Gillian Heckler. No. Chris Empson.
Yeah,
I'm
he's there.
here.
Righto, Chris. Give us your thought, mate.
Okay, I'm Chris Empson. I live in Surfer Paradise, and I was a member of Chat Swap and City Swap. And my thought for the day comes from Henry David Thoreau, who said, if you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put the foundations under them.
Thank you.
So that's number 1 for Chris.
Number 1.
Well, that suits me.
Glenys Bailey.
Good morning. My name's Glenys Bailey. I'm from the Gold Coast. I started swap in the Gold Coast and moved to Cairns. And I was in the Cairns swap for a few years. My thought of the day is every day above ground is a good day, so make the most of it and don't allow others to influence your thoughts.
Number 7, Glenys.
Thank you. I like that.
Phil Linklater. Are you there, Phil?
G'day, Charlie. How are you?
Oh, long time.
Right. Thought for the day. If you aren't living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
Number 20, Phil.
Thank you.
Nikki Meldrum.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Nikki Meldrum, Home Loan Professional, Pilot Swap. And Paddy, you're looking amazing this morning. My thought of the day is aspire to inspire before you expire.
Or retire.
Number 9, Nikki.
Michael, are you there? Jan Sky.
Yes, I'm here. I'm Jan Sky, living on the Gold Coast now, formerly from Sydney, in a couple of swap clubs in Sydney. And my thought for the day is be silent and listen with the intent to understand. And silent and listen share the same letters.
Number 23, Jan.
Thank you.
Clark Lauren, are you there? No. Marie Vassallo? Not there? Oh,
I
unusual.
think she sent apologies this morning.
All right. Roger Ball. Come on, Roger.
Yeah, good morning. Okay, well, originally from the UK, obviously, but I've been here for 25 years, and here is just outside Hamilton in New Zealand. So my thought of the day is life has no remote control. Get up and change it yourself.
Very good.
Number 2, Roger.
Thank you. That's exactly the one I wanted. I used to live in Spain. Oh, no, it's not. That's the wrong one. Oh, okay. I'm indecisive. Instead of oh, it's
I
incentivized.
thought you were in Auckland, not indecisive.
You there, Jocelyn?
Who?
No, no, John.
Your sound's not real good, Charlie. Who were you asking for?
Jocelyn Scott.
Me, yes, I'm here. I'm Jocelyn
Go.
Scott from Christchurch, Swap. And my thought of the day is the comeback is always stronger than the setback.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Number
Sylvia.
11, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Which one? Which one, Charlie?
Sylvia Morris.
Oh, there you go. Hi, everyone. I'm Sylvia Morris, and I'm the creator of the Brisbane Artisan Expo. We're having our third one this Saturday. Very proud of it. And Nikki and Kevin are going to be there. Wonderful. And a lot of swappers are going to be there, actually. Well, Chris, Glenys, a few others, Mike and Angie, quite a few others, actually. And my thought of the day is, if there's a stair, it's a little bit out of the box here, but that's okay. You all know me. If there's a stairway to heaven and a highway to hell, that says a lot about the anticipated traffic.
Number 13, Sel.
Good.
Martin Kennedy.
That's me. I'm from Adventure Swap in Geelong and past president in the state of Victoria, catching up with a couple of clubs each week, which was exciting. My thought for the day comes from a namesake, Martin Luther King. Only in the darkness can you see the stars.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Number 10, Martin.
Okie dokie.
Jenny Cartwright.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny Cartwright, past president of Pioneer Swap in North Sydney. And my thought for the day is years may wrinkle the skin, but to give up on enthusiasm wrinkles the soul.
Nice. Number 3, Jenny.
Thank you. Oh, that's my number 3. 3 always wins.
That was Max's tip, Jenny.
Mine too.
Les Watson.
Good morning, all. Les Watson from Get More Time, past president of Surfside Swap in Sydney and down with Martin in Geelong. So we must catch up, Martin. My thought for the day, it's great to see everybody. I'm just thrilled. Some of these people I've known for over 30 years, so it's a delight. My thought is either you run the day or the day runs you.
Excellent. Thank you.
21, Les.
Oh, 21 today, yes.
Judy Ward.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm here in Sydney, originally from New Zealand. My thought for the day is who you think you are each day completely determines the universe you live in by its Ram Dass. And the swap clubs that I was involved with was Harbour and Wellington, City Swap, Airport Swap, and Southside Swap in Sydney. Lovely to see you all. Happy Melbourne Cup Day to you.
Number 5,
Thank you.
Are you there?
we didn't hear that, Charlie.
Susan Cutforth.
Oh, me, I'm here. Hey everybody, I'm
Yep.
Susan Cutforth, past president of Auckland Achievers. Currently live in Phoenix, Arizona, hence my diamond cap on today for the Melbourne Cup. I'm actually working. Probably most of you here are retired, but I'm still going. And I work for our local public health, Maricopa County Public Health. And the last 18 months, I've been working on the COVID response. So I've been extremely busy. My thought for the day is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf.
Excellent.
And number 15, Susan.
Thank
Would you like to introduce David? Does David want to give a thought of the day?
Yes, this is David, my partner, David Shoemaker, and you can tell everyone what you've done in your career and your thought for the day.
I will bore everybody with that. Here in Phoenix, Arizona also. And let's say, thought for the day. If you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right.
That makes you number 6, David.
Number 6. Righto. Mr. Swap himself, Walter Beckett.
Good morning. Can you hear me this time?
Can hear you.
Hi, Walt. How you going? All the way from Melbourne. Good to see you in Sydney.
Well, here I am on the Gold Coast. I'm still past everything. And my thought for the day is, wherever you are, be there.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Number 19, Walter.
Margaret.
Thank you.
Margaret.
Morning, everyone. Margaret Ash from Brisbane. And my thought for the day is attitudes are more important than facts.
Hey.
And that's number 16, Margaret.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Alex Eason. Alex, are you?
Hi, yeah, Alex here from Christchurch. My thought of the day is, as the flowers bloom, there will be honey soon.
Very good.
Number 20, Alex.
Thank you.
Royce McLean. Royce, are you with us? No. Rod Meharry.
Good morning, all. This is Rod. I live in a little place called Matatā in the Bay of Plenty in New Zealand. Fabulous little village of 700 odd people. I'm past president of Guys of Swap, where we held the best international conference ever, if you'll remember, if you were there. Hey, Charlie. And my thought for the day, knowing who the thoughts judge is it's only a racket when you're not in it.
Number 11, Rod.
Number 11?
Yep.
Fantastic.
We didn't get that, Charlie.
No? No, Sylvia?
Sylvia Marina?
Yes, yes, I'm here. Hello, Sylvia Marina from Perth in Western Australia. Past president, youth swap, I'm special program, and anything else that was to do with personal development. I'm still at it. Thank goodness for Zoom. I can teach all my courses around the world, which I do. So I came off teaching in Germany at 4 o'clock this morning, and here I am now. I'll be looking forward to my pillow later in the day. My thought of the day is this: you discover more about a person in an hour of play than in an hour of conversation.
Number 14, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Now, I like to add, Sylvia has been running swap meetings for 10 years in Western Australia, so she's kept it going for a long time. So thanks, Sylvia. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lorna Bender. Lorna, are you? Lorna? Is Lorna here? No? Patty, I'm going to leave you till last. Oh, no, I need to now because you're Patty Smith, you have to give us your thought.
Okay, well, my thought for the day is it's a little game that I play, and some of you might want to take this up if you're not doing it already. What I do is I make a list of all the things I need from down the shops, okay? And I put it on the bench, and then I leave it there, and then I go down the shops and see how many I can remember, okay? So there's something that you can do if you're not doing it already, okay?
How many times do you have to go to the shops, Patty?
And how many times is that because you left the list behind?
Number 9, Patty.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Way to save money.
And what number is Patty got?
9.
Number 9. Thank you. Harvey Duncan. Harvey Duncan, are you with us? No.
Harvey Hirsch.
Sharon Jones. Sharon? No. All right. Ken Smithies. Ken? Ken Smithies? No? Rowie?
He was there.
Hi guys. Hi, nice to see you. I'm dressed up for the I'm dressed up for Melbourne Cup, having a champagne and orange juice breakfast. And my thought for the day, I've passed everything, you know, state club and national president. But my thought for the day is you can tell the quality of a person by the way they treat someone who can do nothing for them.
That's number 10, Ken.
Rowena Pryor.
10, thank you.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name's Rowena Pryor. I live in Auckland, New Zealand, on the North Shore, the fabulous Murray's Bay. And my thought for the day, I'm an ex-Auckland achiever, and I'm also an international award-winning cold call sales person.
Beautiful.
So that's my claim to fame. And my thought for the day is 7 days without laughter makes 1 week.
Very good.
Number 12, Rowie.
Thank you.
Leslie Wagner.
Good morning, all. I'm Leslie Wagner, and my business is I'm an essential services consultant. If you feel you're paying too much for your electricity, give me a call. My thought for the day is, the way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain.
Yes, thank you.
Number 18, Leslie.
Thanks a lot, Rhonda.
Thanks, Leslie.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hey, Leslie.
Hi, Phil.
Shuttler. Mike.
Well, good morning, swappers. My name is Mike Shuttler, and I help people to use sales and negotiation skills to build profitable relationships. My thought for you today is a very current one, I think. COVID is not just a pause in your life. It's an opportunity to reset your approach.
Wow.
Yeah, good.
Number 17, thanks, Mike.
Thank you for 17. That sounds like a winner.
Roger Yates.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Roger Yates from sunny South Australia. I'm with GS Partners, and I was well known many, many years ago in Pioneer Swap and later on in Adelaide Swap. And my thought for the day is, I think, therefore I am. I am, therefore I can.
Number 8, Roger.
Number 8, thank you.
Jeremy Britton.
Sorry, I just had to find the unmute button. I'm keeping quiet here because I've got puppies running around. Jeremy Britton, past president of Sunshine Coast Swap, where we once hosted a guy by the name of Allan Pease. And this quote comes from a mutual friend of mine and Alan's, and there may be 1 or 2 people who remember this guy. He wasn't around for long, and he didn't have a lot of friends, but the quote is, if people make jokes about your name, it's because they have nothing else to criticize. And the quote comes from Dick Gazinia.
Excellent.
If you haven't seen that clip, look it up on YouTube. Alan makes Tish very miserable.
Number 13, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Renee.
Good morning, folks. I've got a Melbourne Cup special for you. Yes, and I'm Renine Beaumont Harvey, for better or worse. My thought for the day is winning and losing does not have any meaning, because some people win by losing and some lose by winning.
Like that.
That's very
Hey, goodbye.
16, Renine.
What number?
16.
16, thank you.
Ian Harvey.
Good morning, folks. Ian Harvey, past national president of City Swap and Gold Coast, and work with my lovely wife in real estate now. A little bit of feedback there. My thought of the day, the problem with kleptomaniacs is that they're always taking things literally.
Number 3, Ian.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, Ann Carlson? Is that who you're calling?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I was in Pioneer and in City Swap, and I'm now in Colorado, but I moved up from Phoenix, and I'll be back in Phoenix for a little while at the beginning of the year. So Susan, it'll be fun to connect with you. My thought for the day is in horse racing, as in life, it's not where it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Yep.
Number 4, Anne.
Thank you.
And I'm not quite this is the last one or not, but Greg Eldred.
Is that me, Charlie Nichols? Good morning. Greg Eldred from Melbourne, past founder and past president of Melbourne Cup. My thought is failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success.
Number 1, Greg.
Oh, thank you.
Now, that's who on the list. Into the meeting. Has everybody given their thought of the day and got a horse?
Hey guys, it's Carlo from ex-City Business Swap president. And my thought of the day is motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going.
Excellent. Thank you.
21, Carlo.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Have I missed
Harvey
any?
Michael.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good. Go on, Harvey.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, right. Harvey Michael from ex-Pioneer Swap, and used to be in the garbage business. My thought for today was untidy garbage disposal today is the start of tomorrow's urban decay. But my thought of the day, all the world's a stage and we are but the players. Have a good time.
Number 23, Harvey. And are we going to let Allan Pease have a thought of the day?
Is Alan with us?
He is.
Alan, have you got a thought of the day?
You muted, Alan.
Yeah, well, I do. If somebody tells you they're too busy to see you or do something, there's no such thing as too busy. It's just a matter of priorities.
Yeah.
Number 6, Alan.
Number 6. Thank you.
Now, have we covered all bases?
Just look at the other screen, Ronnie.
Charlie Martz here from Club Med Christchurch.
I'm
always a bit shy to speak, but I thought I'd better chip in. So past Christchurch Swap president, past Christchurch Business Swap president, past New Zealand president, life member fellow, and as someone rightly said before, simply just past it. So my thought comes from Ryan Holiday. The only way to lose is to abandon your courage. Defeat is a choice, and the brave never choose it.
Beautiful. Number
Excellent.
5, Martz.
Right. Now, have we covered all bases this time? Has everybody given their thought of the day?
It looks to me like we've got everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Rhonda. Now, we've got time for a wins of the week. Has got a win of the week that I'd like to share?
Win of the week.
Well,
Charlie, I've got one.
Well, did you get any with the trifecta, the quad that you were doing? Well, Vicky.
I got it.
Well, are you there?
I'm here.
Of the week.
So I've lost all the picture.
We can see you.
We can see you.
So how'd you go with your quaddie?
I got it.
Wow. Been a while.
At last.
All right. Well, let's move on. We've had enough wins of the week. We've got a bit of a change in the program this morning. So I'll be introducing our 10-minute speaker. And he's one gentleman who has spoken many times at swap meetings, is our 10-minute today. Appeared in the early 2000s at Gold Coast Swap and was a regular for many years in Queensland. With his unique matters of the mind, could you please welcome FRITZ HECKLER. Are we ready? Yes, there we go. Ready?
10-minute speaker.
That's Fritz at his absolute best.
Yeah, he called himself something
It's a rough show of hands. We have about 1/3 of the room are dysfunctional and the rest of you are in denial because there's no normal people today. That was a trick question. And that's why today a little therapy is in order. Being a psychologist, people often ask me to explain some of the terms we use. One that comes up all the time is the Freudian slip. You know, when you say one thing and you mean your mother. Well, one gentleman asked me to explain this, and I explained to him by way of a story. I said, there was a man who wanted to go to Pittsburgh on the train. When he approached the ticket box, he noticed that the lady behind the counter had very large hands. And he said to her, "Can I have 2 tickets, please?" As the man I was talking to said, now I understand. I had a Freudian slip myself just the other day. You see, I was sitting having breakfast with my wife, and I meant to say, pass the sugar to me, and instead it came out, you really screwed up my life, you bitch. Certainly our lives have been screwed up with this coronavirus. And while I'm not a practicing medical doctor, although I have done a considerable research into the emergent cyclical double helix model of adult human biopsychosocial behavior, I felt the need to contribute what I could to reducing the impact of the pandemic on people's lives. So I created a number of inventions that would keep people much healthier. We were told initially not to touch our faces. So I invented the face avoidance ratchet tool, or FRITZ for short. This useful machine would reduce the transmission of the virus by limiting the wearer's ability to touch their own face. It works for lefties as well, but also works if you're oblivious. I'm sorry, I meant ambidextrous. I get a little mixed up with the English words. The English language is many words that are very confusing. One of the most difficult words I'm still trying to master is the word ass. Everyone knows that ass means butt. But no, sometimes it can mean a butt, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Ass has an optional use. Lazy ass means my lazy husband means the same without the ass. That's flight means a long flight, but if you want to make it longer, just add ass. Long ass man means the whole man is longer, not just his ass. Stupid ass means stupid, but it can also mean the reverse. Bad ass means good. Smart ass means clever, but dumb ass is still dumb. It can mean you as in move your ass. That means move everything in the same direction. It can mean no, as in someone might say, this car is fast, and someone else could say, fast my ass. It can also be divided as in you're an ass, which means you're stupid. But if you're half-assed, it means you're not concentrating. But if you're a piece of ass, it means you're beautiful. Anyway, back to my inventions. We were told not to shake hands. And so we had to come up with other ways to greet people, like Buddhist bowing, bumping fists, touching shoes. All these methods were awkward. And it was hard to know what the other guy was going to do. So it looked like you were doing some sort of strange mating ritual when you would see someone you knew. I understand habitual behavior, so I invented the shaking hands allowance glove, or SHAG for short. A comfortable rubberized glove with embedded stainless. Shaking hands with another person also having a shag is no problem. And there's a real incentive for everybody to invest in a shag, because without one, your hand will get ripped to pieces. We learned earlier on the development of this unique device that you don't want to put your hands in your pockets, and it's best to remove it when you use the bathroom. But otherwise, a great tool for flattening out the curve. In these days, it's important to help people remain positive. A man once said to me that he felt worthless, to which I replied, "Oh, don't worry about that. It's just low self-esteem. It's very common among losers." Myself the other day for a checkup, wasn't feeling the best. I said to the doctor, "Give it to me straight, doc. What's ailing me?" He said, "I think you've got a bad case of hypochondria, and that really hurts." I said, "I think I want a second opinion." He said, "Okay, you're ugly as well." I said, "Come on, doc, give it to me straight. Will I live a long and happy life?" He said, "I don't think so." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because Mercury is in Uranus at the moment." I said, "I don't believe in that astrology mumbo jumbo." And he said, "Neither do I. It's just that I just broke my thermometer." Back to my COVID-19 solutions for you. This is a good one. We had this whole thing about social distancing. We were told to maintain a 1.5 meter distance from anyone else. I don't know about you, but that's hard to do. And sometimes other people seem to naturally want to invade your personal space. The solution to that problem was my pneumatically initiated social distancing, or PIST for short. This ingenious device, which could be automatically deployed by a battery-powered proximity sensor, would keep people at exactly 1.5 meters. A simple yet ingenious method that works on the same principle as one of those party blowers and can come with an inbuilt siren if desired, like it might say something like, "Hey, you, move away from the body." Of course, it must be worn outside of the clothes, otherwise it can be a little embarrassing. A little bit of advice on the side. Women who are a little overweight tend to live a lot longer than men who mention it. And on the subject of cleanliness, we were advised to always use sanitizer. That's fine if there's sanitizer close by, but what if you're miles from the nearest sanitation station? Enter my mobile antiseptic delivery device, or MAD for short. This discreet device is worn under the clothing and consists of a plastic bladder bag secured under the arm, out of which a navigating plastic tube extends, and is held in place by a little one-way pressure release valve. Whenever you want to sanitize your hands, simply squeeze your arm against your body, and a little squirt will appear on your hands, and Robert is your mother's brother. Think of it like a colostomy bag in reverse. All of these inventions are mentioned on my website, www.fritzheckler.com. I'm still looking for investors who might want to establish a joint venture to manufacture these on a large scale. I'm sure they go down well in Australia. Oh, hello, I think you. Hello. Oh, there you are. It's amazing what the human mind can conceive and the influence that we can have on other people. I'd like to show you these 6 cards. You see the 6 cards? I want you to pick one of the cards, think of it in your mind, concentrate on that card, and remember that card. Nothing else but that card. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove one of these cards, this one here. And so I want to see if it worked. Is your card still there? No, I bet it's not. Raise your hand if your card is there. It's not there, see? Because we influenced you from all the way over here in Austria to pick the card. Anyway, I said at the beginning, we would do some therapy, and that's what we've just done. Laughter is the best medicine, unless you have diabetes, in which case I recommend insulin. In the words of Dr. Scott Williams from Australia, if you don't laugh, you're going to die. And even if you do laugh, you're still going to die. So you might as well laugh. If you're still having trouble with your mirth quota, then I suggest you join a group. There are a number of groups available. There's one for people who are over 150 kilos. It's called a Mensa. They believe it is a manifest destiny to fill their entire auric field with physical form. But if you ask me, I think they're a little bit militant. You see, every week they have weigh-ins, and that's where they check if you're still over 150 kilos. And if you've lost weight, they send you to confection. That's where they fill you with sweets and they say, go and thin no more. And then there's another group. It's for people who think they are nobodies. It's called Anonymous, but you can't find them. They have an unlisted number. If you've managed to sit through this entire session without having a little bit of a laugh, then you qualify for what we call the Dr. Fritz Certificate of Achievement Insanity. If someone says to you, "You're insane," you can reply, "I'm not, I've got this certificate." Simply go to my website, answer a few financial questions, and I will send one to you. So folks, it has been a real honor for you to have me here today, and it's so good to see so many old faces. Talking about old faces, I would like to introduce you to an old friend of mine. Why, we shared the stage only a couple of years ago at the Gold Coast at the International Rotary Convention. I met this man 20 years ago when in conference with Ken Marslew, who was the founder of Enough is Enough International Organization. He was the CEO of EIEIO. Would you please welcome my old friend, Mr. Allan Pease.
Thanks, Fritz. Good morning. Let's hear it. Come on, let's hear it.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Like you said, good to see so many old faces. I just sort of realised, and I've been writing down some of the names here as I've been participating. I've known some of you guys 45 years, cases, going back to the 70s and the 80s, and I thought what I'd do this morning. I'm thinking about this because probably half of you.
Alan, I'm sorry, there's a lot of feedback, so I've muted everybody. Will you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
Okay, now I'm good. Yeah, so I've been writing down people's names as I've been looking at you guys, because some of you guys I haven't seen for a long, long time. And some of you have history with me in one way or the other. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Let me start with my own swap history. Now, I'll go right back to the start. I come from a small country town in southern Victoria, a place called Lorne. The Victorians all know that. Population was 800 people, and there was only 13 kids at the school there, and I was one of them. And I was raised in housing commission. Now, if you're not sure what housing commission is, that means that your parents don't have any money, and so you're raised in housing that's provided by the government, and you pay an X amount of rent. And my father moved to Melbourne when I was a teenager. Now, my father was a southwestern Victorian Eagle Star insurance representative in the 1950s. And back in those days, there was no checks or credit cards or anything like that. So when you pay your insurance premium, the agent would come and knock on your door and collect it every month or every quarter, or every half year. And that's also how they prospected for new business. And so through electoral rolls and corporate documents that they have in the company, they could work out who lived in that house, how many people, brothers and sisters. They could work it out with the neighbours. So yeah, they were traditional salesmen of the day. And my father was a young, handsome fellow in his 20s, and he'd be calling to pick up premiums a lot at night and on weekends. And they're mostly women at home, and so he needed to be able to get in to be able to present. And now a young, handsome guy knocking on doors during the day when there's women at home, it's pretty hard to get in. So what he would do on weekends and nights, he'd take me with him as a prop, because the guy's got a kid with him, he's got to be all right. And so I spent my early part of my life in the 50s with my father knocking on doors, selling insurance. That's what he did. And I learned to sit around tables and watch how he did it. And if they wouldn't let him in and they were a good prospect, he'd say things like, would you mind if Alan has a glass of water, please? Could Alan use your toilet, please? So I spent all my childhood peeing in people's toilets all over southwestern Victoria and drinking glasses of water. But we'd sit around, and all the insurance agents of the day in the 50s, they were the cutting edge motivationalists. And everybody had one of these little Philips record players with these large vinyl records that they'd put in and play. And my dad would play these that he got from Eagle Star Insurance. And I would sit around and listen to this stuff by Dale Carnegie and by Earl Nightingale. So as a young kid, I was raised in an environment of listening to that stuff. So I grew up understanding about goal setting and winning people over. And if people like you and they buy you, they'll buy what goes with you, and deadlines and setting goals. I had a good understanding of that. So my first sales job was 11 years of age selling rubber sponges. I just go down to local upholstery where they had all these offcuts from the couches and the cars that they make of rubber, and I'd cut those into squares and I'd sell them door to door for 2 shillings. And that was my start of my sales career. And I thought everybody did this because my father said to me, look, you can either grow up to be a doctor, Alan, or you can be a salesman. He said, they get paid about the same if you're good at it. And so I said, can I do both, Dad? He said, yeah, you can do both, but salesmen usually get paid better and have a more productive life. And so all through high school, I was a salesman. I was knocking on doors selling pots and pans back in the 60s. So by the mid to late 60s, I was the king of pots and pans. I could sell pots and pans on referral, and by cold calling, in ways you wouldn't believe. All right. What's this message here? So someone's waiting to come in. All right, let them come in. And so that was my background. And at 19 years of age, I decided to join the life insurance business, which my father was in, because that was big time selling. If you're good at that, you could be one of the top salespeople ever. At age 20, I'd sold $1 million worth of insurance in my first year at a time when the average income was $60 a week. It was a hell of a lot of money. And I qualified for this thing called the $1 Million Roundtable. And that was such a big event in the sales circle that got me invites to go to companies to talk about how do you sell, which is where my professional speaking career ran. It started right there. In fact, it started in the late 60s teaching door-to-door salespeople how to evaluate somebody when they open a door and how to get in the house and how to look around and make yourself a welcome person that they want to have a listen to. So I guess nothing's changed in selling. It's still exactly the same. Even if you're doing it online, you've still got to win people over first because they don't buy you. They're not going to buy what goes with you. If they buy you, there's a good chance they'll give you a fair hearing, which as a salesperson, the reality is that's all you want. So that was my history back in those days. And somebody said to me, I sent out an email to a lot of you guys and other people on my database and said, what sort of things would you want to know from me? Because a lot of you guys know my track record, history and what I've done. Some of you know a bit and some of you probably don't. I moved to Sydney in 1976. I was 25 years of age and I was starting a brand new sales team in North Sydney. And a mate of mine, Graham Shields, said to me, look, I'm a member of this club. You want to come and check this out? It's really good. He said, there's a mate of mine called Cole Crawford. He's got a car dealership and it was called Surfside Swap. Well, there's a body language, but very nice, Phil. I like that. Yeah. So I went down to Surfside Swap and I couldn't believe what I was seeing down there because I'd come from a country town originally and here are all these people jumping around, feeling well, feeling great, and jumping up on the tables. And I thought they're either on drugs as my first thought. You know, these guys have got to be on drugs. So I started with Surfside Swap. I didn't join it. I, in fact, joined eventually when I moved to North Sydney, Pioneer Swap. And I was also an honorary member of Denver Swap when Virginia Moss, who started Swap back in the 70s, invited myself and another young guy who I'd met at Swap, a 19-year-old kid, selling pool equipment, Ivan Frangi. And Ivan and I went to Denver and we spent time with Virginia Moss and Rex Gamble. And they're all dead now. Geez, Ivan, I think you and Nell are the only ones that are still kicking it here. Ann Carlson never seems to look any older. I don't know how you do that, Ann. So my history was in Denver Swap, where I spent a lot of time living out Littleton, Colorado with Rex when he was there. And some of the people I saw at Swap, and I've written some of the names down. Some of you guys are here, some of you aren't. Somebody said to me one day, they said, look, you want to come and see this guy speak this morning at Pioneer Swap? He's the funniest guy you've ever seen. And so I rocked up and here's this guy. He looked Chinese looking as I've ever seen, with the biggest Aussie accent ever. A guy called Ron Lee. And I'd never seen Ron before. And Ron was the speaker that morning. And I remember what he said that day. He said something that it's a joke I can't use, but he said it. And I fell off the chair literally laughing at this. He said, I was kidnapped last week. And he said, they blindfolded me with dental floss. I think today, Ron, not even you could tell that joke anymore. Back in those days, I was a Caucasian English-speaking male with high testosterone, which were 3 pluses. Now, of course, they're 3 liabilities I've got to work around. Another one I saw was, there's a woman I was madly in love with at Swap, and if ever she turned up, I won't tell you who that woman was, but if ever she turned up, she's on the screen here, I thought that's going to be a good day, and it always was. Then I met people like Patrick Sweeney when I went to New Zealand. My God, Patrick Sweeney. I thought this guy has got to be on drugs. Turns out he wasn't. He's still not on drugs. I don't think you are, Pat, at least. And Pat became my seminar promoter in New Zealand until he moved to Australia. And we put on some big meetings. Pat was great at doing that, half crazy, but a really great guy. And then I met Charlie Nichols in New Zealand as well. And my hair was black at the time. Charlie, you had hair at that time. So my history goes back a long, long way with swappers. Now, in 1969, my father introduced me to one of his co-workers. My father was in insurance, and there's one of his mates who moved out from America, had a business in Sydney, and he was a good friend of my dad. And when I moved to Sydney, he rang this guy and said, look, can you go and talk to Alan about who he should meet, where he should go? A guy called Ron Tackey, who some of you will obviously remember. And Ron was one of my father's mates in insurance. And through Ron, I met another guy he introduced me to called John Nevin. And I'd seen John speak in the early 70s, talked about the mountain and the valley people. And many of you will probably remember that talk. And I'd never heard anything quite like that before. And I thought, this is amazing. And I've got to join this swap club. And then Cole Crawford asked me to speak at Swap Surfside, which I did. And that was a big success, which got me going around the swap circles, not only here, but internationally. We started the New Zealand club not long after that, and I was opening speaker for that. And then we went to Singapore and South Africa. It was just a great thing to be a part of back in those days. And I don't think there's anything quite like it since. I really don't think there's anything quite like swap was, and still is to some extent. So what I thought I'd talk about today is 3 events that happened in my life that you might know about, but might not know the history of, and what happened and how I dealt with those things to get to where I am today. Now, the first thing is, many of you remember body language. John Nevin said to me in 1977, and John was a bit of my hero, really, because he lived on 5 acres in Dural in a big house, and he had a driver who drove him to work every day, and nobody really ever saw that much. And he was my hero, and I'd been talking since the late 60s with salespeople about how to identify when you're looking at somebody, whether they're with you or against you, or likely to be hedging, telling them the truth, or whether they're likely to be negative or positive. So it was the early stages of body language, even though that word hadn't been invented at that point. And I was talking about this with swap clubs, and it was a huge success. And John said, look, you should put this into a manual. So I put it into a 10-page manual, and people would knock me over the line to get one of these manuals for $10. So then I thought, I'm going to put this into a book. And so in 1979, out came the book, Body Language, which went #1 worldwide, turned into a series of movies and 4-stage play still in Europe. And it just became bigger than Ben-Hur, as they say. And John Nevin was the one who really said I should take that track and take it down. And he was right. And I know a lot of us miss old John. And one of the things about writing books, and this is a question I got from a few people, a couple on this morning, is how do you decide what books to write? Well, that's an interesting question. Raise your hand if you reckon you've still got a book in you somewhere. Who's got a book in them? Okay, with this audience, most of you will have your hands up, even though I don't flip the pages. Most of you will, if you haven't already written a book, which many of you would have some sort of book in you. And the question is, why do people write a book? Well, most people I've found write a book because it's like a purge. They've got something inside and they want to get it out. And it's going to be something that's either based on their expertise and experience, and ideally it's going to help other people be better at whatever that skill is, or they just want to get this thing out of them. So as a result of that, they do lousy deals, don't get paid much, and the book doesn't go anywhere. So there's a real trick to being able to write books that will make money. And today I'm first in not in the personal business, not in the celebrity, but I'm in the book business. It was only when I made the decision that I was going to be a business person first at all times with every decision that I started to make really lots of big money when I made that decision. So the first 4 books I wrote, Body Language was actually the second book. First one was called Hot Button Selling back in the late 60s. Body language was big everywhere. Then I followed up with a book called Talk Language, which went to #1, but it went to #1 based on the strength of body language. Everybody just bought it because they were fans of this. Now, the next 2 books I wrote were books that everybody said they'd buy, including you lot. For example, I wrote a book about memory, how to remember names, faces, and lists. And I was at a session on that, which I was running for swap clubs and other organizations. And I can remember saying one morning at a swap club, with this book, I'm thinking about writing this book about memory, how to remember names, faces. Who thinks that's a great idea? Everybody put their hand up because we all say we need to remember people's names and faces and lists of stuff. I said, who would buy this book if it came out for around $15? Everybody put their hand up, but you damn well didn't, did you? You didn't buy that book. So I had to go on television and sell my ass, to use FRITZ expression, hard day and night for a year to make that thing a bestseller. I had to sell. It sold 200,000 books, which was a lot of books, but nothing compared to what Body Language had sold, which is by the millions. And so you said you buy it, but you didn't. Then I wrote another book. Before I did that, I checked also with the audiences and with you guys. I'm going to write a book about how to write letters, faxes, and then emails when they came out. And when you've only got words, how to get people to say yes and be persuaded. Who would buy that book and think, and you all put your hand up, but you damn well didn't buy it. I had to get on television and sell like hell to get everybody to buy this. It sold 200,000, was a bestseller, but my God, it was hard work. So then I decided to change the whole approach to selling books. And the reason I decided to change was kind of forced upon me, because by the time I got to 39, I was definitely the richest guy I knew. Now, I come from a housing commission in a small country town, and I'm still, scraping the butter off the edge of the toast and putting it back on the container, even though I didn't need to do that. Now, old habits die hard. And I discovered at age 39, our accountants have been ripping us off. For at least 7 years that we knew of. They've been taking money out of our accounts. We thought they'd been investing it. We had all the documents to prove it was invested, but it wasn't. It was hidden in all sorts of places. One accountant left town in the end, one went to jail, got out and started a business again. The bottom line was that Barbara and I finished up, well, I'm going to say broke, worse than broke. We lost everything. We lost the home at Church Point. We lost our horse riding farm at Gosford. We lost all our investments. We lost our boat. We can no longer fly down the pointy end of the plane if we would go anywhere at all. We lost everything. In fact, we went beyond that and we're still $3 million in debt that we owed. And a large part of that was to the tax office. Because a lot of the time where we'd written our checks to the tax office, these accountants were signing the back, please pay to them, and they'd bank it. And we didn't know till 5 years later that the tax office hadn't received this, and they didn't care who did it. All they knew was we're directors of the company. We hadn't paid the tax. So here was the money, the fines, the penalties, all the loans that were gone. Total 3.3 million after we'd sold everything. Like, we were bust. And I was 42 years of age and Barbara was 31. This is not a good age at any age to go broke. If you do go broke, I know some of you have, it means that you need to learn a lesson, right? If you go broke a second time, which I haven't done, it means you didn't learn the lesson right the first time. If you go broke the third time, then you're obviously getting a kick out of this because you're repeating the same behavior that's putting you in the same position. So here we are completely broke. And the thing is that nobody knew about this. We never told anybody because nobody could really help us. All they could do was feel sorry for us. So we never told anybody what had happened, including our family. Because I told one family member that we'd gone down the plug, I lost everything, and we're now living in a little rented 5-row home in Sydney. And I was in tears over this because I'd come from a small country town from zero to hero, and now I'm back to zero again. We didn't want to tell anybody in the country town in Lawn that had happened. I told one guy, he said, well, if you had stayed in town, Alan, you could have been in the foreman at the mill by now, because the timber mill was the only place you could go to work as a kid. Now, what we did to get out of that is, and it took 3 years to wrap it up, to find out what had happened, who'd made the mistakes, to go through all the court cases with the accountants, to put people in, hopefully in jail who needed to be, and all I did was spend money to do that. Nobody cared in the end. But we finished up broke. My objective was to get to age 45 and be worth zero. In other words, pay back all the debts and now I'm worth nothing. That was my goal, be worth zero at 45. Now, a lot of people I know who've gone down the plug hole, like we did, I know people who hung themselves over $50,000, and we had lost everything. We're talking tens of millions. We had lost a lot, and still had $3 million we had to pay back. And you can make it when you're down and out and having a really tough time. You've got to make a decision which way you go, and it's a choice. This is the thing; it's a choice. You are choosing completely what you're going to do. Well, we decided after 3 years. It was 3 years it took me to get to the point of being able to decide that we would make a comeback. And the comeback would be bigger than ever. Now, the question is, and we talked to my father and one or two family members, and they wanted to know how. How would you do this? And our answer was, well, we don't know. We don't know how, but that's what we will do. We will come back bigger than ever. We'll be the biggest thing on the planet. Yeah, but how? Well, we don't know. Now, here's the point number one. I want to make this one really clear. And our last book, called The Answer, deals exclusively with this subject and how your brain pushes you forward to success or not. The first thing is, most people, especially Aussies, that when you're looking at a new venture or going into something new, you think, well, how would I get the money for that? How would I finance it? How would I get the building? How would I get the skills? How was the starting point? Because how gives you the security? But in fact, if you start thinking by how about any subject, it's over. Because after 2 or 3 days, you haven't seen how, you don't know how. And so people become disillusioned and they gravitate back to their comfortable life. Even if it's not a good one, they gravitate back to it. They go back to their job. And 78% of people in Australia, and it's the same in most European and Western countries, that's better than 3 out of 4 people, don't like where they go every Monday morning. They don't like their job. And you know what job stands for? Just over broke. A job will put food on the table, but that's about it. And so we decided we would make a comeback. We had no idea how, but we're going to do it. Full stop, end of story, over and out, no more discussion. This is what we will do. And anybody we talked to asked how, we stopped telling them because they kept asking how. They didn't know how. We didn't know how either. We decided that's what we do. So thinking about it for a while, we thought, well, what do we know? Well, I really wasn't qualified to do anything else. I had a diploma in insurance. I didn't want to go and do that again. But I thought, well, we know how to write books. Let's write best-selling world bestsellers, because we'd written bestsellers by the hundreds of thousands, and that makes you a great income and a great living. But if you sell them by the millions, we needed to do that to make a recovery. Because I was 45 at the time, and I thought, we've got to make a recovery. How do we do that? And we thought about this. The books that we'd written prior to this were books that people all agreed. You guys go, yes, we'd buy that book on memory. We'd buy that book on how to write letters and faxes and emails, but you didn't. You thought it was a great idea, but you didn't buy it, you mongrels. I had to go out and sell it. So we decided only to write books that people would knock us over in a rush to get one based on the title. Even if they couldn't see us, didn't know us, in a foreign language, they'd say, what is this book? Let me have a look at it. The copy was good enough, they'd buy one. In other words, we changed our entire approach to writing books. We'd written books that were passionate, that were purged, that people said they loved, and we sold hundreds of thousands. It was damn hard work. Body Language had sold about 4 million at the time. We decided to write only books that people would knock us over with $20 or $30, even if they'd never seen us, they liked the title. And the first one of those was called Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps. And the reason we came up with that title, we knew that relationships in the late 80s, early 90s were in trouble everywhere. Everybody's having trouble with the opposite sex, getting a relationship going. They really were. We knew it was a big subject. And we researched everybody to say, here are 10 titles we could have. What do you think? We got our audience on the early edition of Facebook and on our email to tell us out of 10 how good the title was. So the audience decided the title. We didn't. The audience did. Why Men Don't Listen, Women Can't Read Maps. It sold 13 million copies in 3 years. So we were back big time. Now, since that time, we decided we would only write #1 best-selling books, which is a pretty grandiose thing to do when you think about it. But we thought, why not? Let's only write #1s because they sell by the millions. And when you train your mind to only do this, you know what happens? Your brain searches for the answer. It searches for the how. That's why the opening position of anything you want to do should be the what. What do I want to have? What do I want to do? What do I want to become? Start with the what, not with the how. If you catch yourself saying, well, yeah, but how would I get the finance? How would I get the support? How would I get the skill? As soon as that happens, you bug it. Don't do it. Start with what. Here is what I will do, have, or become. And the minute you do that, the part of the brain called the RAS, many of you know about that, and that's what the book, The Answer, is about. It will find you the how. When you decide the what and you are determined, this is the what. Now, this is easy to say. It's a simple thing to do, but it isn't easy to do. It's simple. You decide the what and you will see how. And I knew that from the 50s because I heard Dale Carnegie say that when you set goals, your brain will see how to do it. So I had the advantage of being a kid back in that time. And that was what we decided to do, only write #1s. Consequently, we've had 11 #1s internationally in a row, 57 languages, because each one has been based on books that people say they want to have. People say that they want to buy these books. They love the titles, even if they didn't know us. Whereas before that, we wrote books we think that they should have, and they all agreed they would, but they didn't. All right, so second point I'm going to make on this. Well, the first point is, I'll just reiterate that one. You decide the what, not how. Don't think about, if you're thinking about how something's going to happen, look, just forget it. Think about what and determine that's what I will do, full stop. And if people keep saying, how would you do this? Stop telling them. Don't tell them anymore. I only tell people who say, that's a great idea. Like if you go out in the street and tell 10 strangers, and we've done that with our meetings here, you tell 10 strangers, I'm going to go to Africa and sleep in a tent and look after the the orphans who are suffering from AIDS in Zimbabwe. It's one real life story from one of our delegates at one of our conferences here. And she told her family that was going to happen. Man, did she get bombed from every direction. How can you do that? You're 40 years of age, you're working in the bank, you've got a good job, you've got superannuation, you've got 2 kids. They were adults going to uni, these kids, they weren't coming home. And she hated her job and hated her life. So we encouraged her through the seminar to go and live in a tent, which ended up being Ethiopia. She lived in a tent in Ethiopia and said it was the greatest experience for life. She has not come back from Africa since then. She's still a social worker with Medicine Sans Frontiers. But she told her family, and they absolutely canned it. So we sent her to the streets here in Queensland and said, tell 10 strangers what you're going to do. 8 out of 10 said, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard of. Fantastic, congratulations. Here's contacts. They gave her contacts, they gave her details, they gave her experiences, and 2 of them gave her money. So only tell people who will support you in anything once you've decided the what. Now, second point I'm going to make here is that some of you know this. After 3 years of fighting with these accountants and Barbara and I on television every week back in when this was happening back in the 90s, we were doing Ray Martin. I remember the day we did Ray Martin's show on how to pick people who are lying. And we'd been lied to by accountants, and they were good friends. They were really good friends of ours. They'd lied to us. And someone said, how did you not pick that? Well, they were good friends. You don't look for good friends to be lying to you. You miss it. Strangers, you watch it. And we hadn't watched it. And even when the signs were there, we ignored it and said, oh, we must have got that wrong. They're looking after us, which they weren't. They were thieves. They were good white-collar thieves. So after 3 years of going through all that, where I got myself depressed, and I didn't believe I was. I said to Barbara, I can't be depressed. I'm a motivational speaker. That's not possible. And she said, yeah. She said, you're depressed. I said, if you say that, I'll go and throw myself in the river. She said, let me drive you to the bridge. And so I went and did the test. I said, yeah, serotonin's gone and your dopamine's out. You're depressed. Take these drugs. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I decided that I would make a decision to be undepressed, which is an interesting move if ever you find yourself getting depressed. I decided that by Friday next week at 4 o'clock, I would be an undepressed person. An undepressed person meant by definition, I would no longer think about anything that ever happened that gone wrong, all the mistakes that I'd made. I'd blame myself for everything, which is what men do. We blame ourselves for things that go wrong financially. Women are much better at it. Barbara said, well, we've got our health, we can start again. But I was depressed, small country town, lost all this money through stupidity, by missing the signs. In a business that I've been talking about, how to pick liars, and I get done by the best. And so if people don't support you and don't want to be on your side, well, don't tell them. It's that simple. Fine. Doesn't mean you don't love them. Doesn't mean you don't have them for Christmas. You just don't tell them, because they'll give you all the reasons why they couldn't do what you want to do. So after 3 years of this, we released Why Men Don't Listen, and now we hit the big time again. We're #1 in the world. We've got a massive movie in Europe, and we're in the front of the plane flying around, and it's like a movie in Hollywood all over again. And I go down for my annual checkup. What do I discover? Cancer. Oh, that's great. That's what you need, isn't it? 3 years of negative thinking, 3 years of all the stuff we've gone through. I finish up, I've got cancer. Wow, that's not a real good thing to have when everything's going so well. And worse than that, they said, well, you'll probably live about 3 years on average. Guys your age, and I was 47 with advanced prostate cancer. And you blokes know what that means. That means you're not going to live long. So I said, you'll probably live to 50 maybe. Now, the 2 doctors told me that. You know what I said to them? I said, you're fired. Now, if somebody tells you something you don't like, don't agree with, just tell them they're fired. Find people who will support you. So I spent $20,000 and it went through 19 experts everywhere to talk about how I could survive this. And all of them said, you're not going to live very long. The best they gave me was 55 years of age, you might live. And that's about it. But 3 years was the average. Now, do you know that since that diagnosis, the first thing I did, and if ever you get any sort of an illness, and I know people on here like David Nomchong and Kath Palin Brinkworth, they're like me, they're people who should well be dead, but we're not. The first thing you must do if you get diagnosed with any illness is make a decision that you're going to live. Now, if experts tell you things you don't like, get other experts. That's just one person's opinion. So go and get somebody else's opinion. I got 19 opinions, didn't like any of them. So I decided I'm going to live to 90. And that's the 15th of August, 2040. And I wrote it down, stuck it on the fridge, stuck it on my computer, kept losing it. So one day I was going past tattoo parlor and I thought, no, you don't do that. And I did. I got a tattoo with a shield, best before 15th of August, 2040 AD on my right cheekbone. So every morning when I have a shower like this morning, it was there. I can't remember seeing it, but I know I did. And it tells my brain how I will eat today, how I will drink, how I will think. I'll only think positive. I'll only eat organic food. I'll go to the gym and exercise. It tells me what I will do. And that's what I do every day. And once you get into the habit of doing these things, it's what's called normal. It's normal life. And so I'm 70 now, and they're still telling me 3 years. They're still telling me. Last week they said 3 years, mate, it's the average. You know, we can't give you any statistics, Alan, because I was in a test group of 254 people in my condition, and there's only 3 of us alive. So now they test me for the BRCA. You must have the BRCA gene. In other words, medical people think if you can't see it through a microscope, it doesn't exist. But I said, well, hang on, what about deciding to live, Doc? And what about attitude? What about diet? What about exercise? What about being positive about what you want? Oh, well, no, we need to look through a microscope. So they plugged me up and stuck me up, did the BRCA, and I don't have the BRCA gene. They're very disappointed in this because now there's only 2 of us left, and I'm still going for 90, and minimum of 90. Someone said the other day, what if you're wrong? Well, I'll be dead. Come on. But I'm not going to wake up thinking about that and cause the end. I'm not going to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I did exactly the same as with cancer as I did with books. Make a decision. This is what you're going to do. Well, when are you going to retire? What? What does that mean? Retire means you quit doing something you don't want to do to go and do something you do want to do, which is my next point. That if you're not waking up every day saying, I can't wait to go and do whatever it is, I want to wake up and go and do this. And in fact, I'm looking forward to it. And I couldn't sleep the night before because I can't wait to do it again. If you can discover what that is in your life, and then you go and do that, you'll never work ever again, ever. So my mother-in-law says, why don't you retire? Why? I wake up loving stuff. I'm sitting in a television. I just created a TV studio during COVID. To the pandemic, what happened in the pandemic? Well, speaking business, as some of you know, was wiped. There's no speaking anywhere. I only do big meetings, 300 to 40,000 people. And it wasn't one of those for, well, it hasn't been one of those for nearly 2 years. It completely went. I have a big rock and roll music business. I'm sitting on top of it. It's in the building below me. That completely stopped because musicians couldn't go into enclosed rooms. So it all stopped. And during the pandemic, one thing I noticed, the first 3 months, I didn't mind that because I was having a 3-month break, which I hadn't had for 50 years. But I did notice that everybody started to talk about what they'd lost and what they couldn't do. And whatever you start to talk about is what happens to you. It's what you get. You guys know this. So I decided to only think about what I could do and what I will do. I forgot about everything else. I only talk about what I would do, what I will do, and wrote a list of that, which included building a television. I'm sitting in a television studio right here in a rainforest. And we're going to make our own television show. We started already. It'll be like a James Corden late night show, but outrageously politically incorrect and funny as hell. And someone said, what station? Where's it going to go? I don't know, but it's going to be bloody big and it's going to be damn good. I will find out where. And I'm finding out where now, but I decided the what. So the how then follows. As soon as I decided what, I hand built a television studio over 1.5 years. I knew nothing about it. And this is a good thing about deciding what. When you decide what, you will see how. Every time you open your emails, you know, they've got those ads where they're flogging your stuff because you're on somebody's mail list. I decided I wanted to speak Russian. And as soon as I decided to do that, I opened my email and there's a little box there, want to speak Russian? I clicked it and now I can speak basic Russian, pretty basic. I speak fluent French. I did the same with French. But the point is, I wondered how long has that ad been coming up there? I checked it out. You know how long? It had been there for 12 months, for a year. I'd never seen it. It was there every day. As soon as I decided the what, that is speak basic Russian, there it was. Turn TV on, there's a bloody program about animals in Siberia. I couldn't believe it. Incredible. And that's how I got to Russia. I live in Russia 3 months of the year. Not the last 2 months because it's, you know, the place is in a terrible COVID situation. But the point of this is you have the choice to decide. And what you need to decide is the what. Decide what you will do. And don't think about how. Now, it sounds simple, and it is, but it's not easy. And if you start talking to people who haven't done what you want to do or aren't currently doing it, especially family members, they'll try and talk you out of it. And the reason they're talking you out of it, they're telling you the reasons why they couldn't do it. It's probably got nothing to do with you. Decide what you're going to do, then find people who have done it and ask them what are they, and they'll be honoured that you asked, and they will show you the how. You'll see the how. The how's in fact the easy bit. In fact, how's none of your business. You know that. You don't need to even know that. Just decide this is what I'll do. Full stop. and you'll see how. And that's my message to you this morning. And it's something I learned in basics as a 5-year-old back in the 50s. And it's the same thing that gets me out of bed every day and drives me to do the next what. So as soon as I'm finished here, I've got to readjust some of the lights. I've got an incredible lighting system here in the studio. I'm going to readjust some of it. And I can't wait to get up on that ladder and start twiddling the knobs. It's great. So thank you for spending the time this morning, and hopefully you'll get one or two things out of what I had to say. And great to see you again. And I was going to marry you, Ann Carlson, and I never told you. Anyway, too late. Back to you, Charlie. Let's hear it. I can't hear it, but let's hear it anyway.
Yeah, we're all muted. Everybody's clapping. You just can't hear it.
I can see it. Put my hat back on.
It was fabulous.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Fantastic.
That's
Very good, Alan.
Yes, you can unmute now, Walter.
Well, Alan, thank you very much. I've been asked by Charlie to thank you today. And I don't know if you were on earlier, but I'm Susan. I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona, previously from Auckland.
I did see you.
I want to tell you that I bought your book, Questions Are the Answers. So I supported you all those years ago. I first saw you at a Swap Big Breakfast in Auckland, probably in the 2000s. We organised all the groups there. And you spoke, and I bought Questions Are the Answers, and I put all the questions on a little laminated card. And so I was doing network marketing in those days, and I was using your questions and read the book. I actually bought it with me when I came to Arizona. I sorted out a few books. I actually bought that book with me to Phoenix, Arizona. So just to let you know that. So I bought your book. Okay. So I was absolutely fascinated by your story. Just loved the fact that you went around peeing in all those toilets when you were a young boy. You were the prop. That was just absolutely classic, and that you were selling rubber sponges, pots and pans, and then you were selling insurance. Oh my gosh. And then you finally ended up at Surfside Swap, and that probably changed your life like it did for me when I went to my first swap meeting. And just absolutely love what you said, body language. And I remembered, you know, when I was doing those sales presentations, watching the person, if they leaned forward, wow, they had some interest. And if they crossed their arms, it's like, whoa, I have to get through this barrier here. How can I get through, so that they actually open up their body? So and I loved what you said about decide what, and you'll find the how. Like, decide what you want to do and you'll find how. Because we actually want to renovate our bathroom and everything, and we had a quote, and it's like, oh my gosh, how on earth are we going to do this, David? So it's like, I think we have to decide actually what we want, and then the hows will come in. So thank you very much. You are so refreshing to listen to, and I love seeing you after all these years, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
Fantastic, Alan, as ever. I just wanted to say, do you remember coming to Auckland in the late 70s? For, I think it was a National Mutual conference. I remember having dinner with you down by the Auckland Harbour Bridge.
That's not my son. I'm not the father.
Well, do you remember, if you don't remember Auckland, I met you there. You came to my birthday breakfast. It was put on by PRD Realty. We were on the top of the Peninsula building in Surfers, the highest building at that time. I think it was 40th floor or 44. And you put on a fantastic show for PRD Group. And it was my birthday. You gave me a book, and it was 40 years ago, just coming up to December. Yeah.
Wow,
so
I do remember that.
That's a long time ago. Yeah. Wow. And it was a great morning.
Oh,
good to see you still sparking on all cylinders.
So far, so good.
Yep.
Can I tell you a little interesting story about what, not how? I'm going to anyway. For a couple of years, Ron had been going on about wanting to change the carpet and renovate the kitchen. And really didn't have the funds, but oh God, it was locked in his brain like it was indelible. Anyway, the washing machine flooded, didn't it? Flooded the floor, flooded the kitchen. Oh, for $500 excess, he got new carpet and new kitchen.
That's right. That's right. You don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know where it will appear, and it does.
Good story, Rhonda.
Alan, Ken Smithies from Melbourne. There aren't too many Melburnians here, but we've known you for a long, long time.
Yeah, we have, Ken. Yeah, most of you do.
I was actually at the taping of your body language television production many years ago, but I also bought Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus in Mumbai, India, of all places, at a bookstore there. So you are truly international and a great Aussie representative. And this meeting today has just reminded me of why I love SWAP and always have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
Alan, I want to say thank you to you from the early days of national speakers, but also with Swan Swap in Perth.
Yeah.
I remembered you made a difference. You made a difference in people's lives. And Swan Swap in Perth had changed from their weekly meeting, and we had a lot of money sitting in the bank. And I said, listen, I want to actually book the room at the Langley Hotel and get Allan Pease over as the speaker. And they said, no one's interested in this stuff anymore. And I said, we've got room for 300 people. And the team that would put that breakfast together said, yeah, but people aren't coming out to meetings anymore. I said, we got 300 seats to sell. We sold 306.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was incredible. And I actually sold tables of 10, and I rang my buddies that were business people, and I said, if you could get a table of 10 together, but I've already got 3 people that I could put on your table, so they didn't actually have to sell 10. And it encouraged them, and the word just spread, and it was amazing. And that was a fantastic morning, and is even spoken about so many times ever since. But you know, it's like, yep, just consider the how later, just get on and do it.
Can I tell you a true swap story that's a really significant one? And in 1970 something, there's a guy who used to come out from America, from Denver Swap, and he stayed at my home regularly, a guy called Mark Victor Hansen. And we're in our late 20s at the time. And Mark's always, if you know Mark, he's always got a deal in every sentence. And he said to me one day, so I'm writing this book. He said, I want you to be part of the book. You can be the non-American author of it. You and Barbara, because you've already got a world market and you can put it in there. We're going to make zillions and zillions. I said, yeah, okay, I read it. And I said, no, I don't think that's going to work. It's like Reader's Digest. It's full of American bull dust. And who's going to buy that here? And I can remember saying to him, who's ever going to buy a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mark? I mean, what sort of title is that? He sold 800 million copies today. And that was at a Swap Club breakfast.
Wow.
Everybody knows how good Grandma's chicken soup was, and it fixed everything.
That's right. Yeah, I'd never heard of it, but apparently it was, everybody else had.
It's actually going back to things like that.
Alan, Jewish penicillin.
Thanks, Alan, for mentioning Surfside Swap. Really appreciate it. It goes back a long way. It's dear to my heart, and the memories I have from those meetings, and as everyone, the stuff that we did in Swap in the day, we were larger than life, and we didn't care because of the positivity that we got from each other and from people like you. So a big thank you. And I'm still in touch with Susie Christie on a regular basis, and it's just nice to be in amongst friends.
You know, when I first spoke at the first National Swap Conference it was in King's Cross, and whenever I get to a seminar, I always talk to the waiting staff and the hotel staff. I say, what's the audience like? I try to get a bit of feedback. And it was some of you guys were at that meeting, and I remember talking to the staff. There's about 500 people in the meeting that day, and I said to this guy, I said, what's this audience like? He said, they're on something. He said, they might be smoking like that marijuana. That's absolutely true. He was stoned. I mean, look, the reality is you get there and start doing what we did at SWAP, which a lot of people laughed at and thought was completely stupid. But I'm alive, I'm well, I feel great. We know that actually affects the hormone level in your brain when you do that, and you do feel better, and you do look to other people like you're on drugs.
Alan, can I just, it's Sylvie Morris here. Alan, I booked you on a number of occasions to speak for Pilot Swap. We had some wonderful events. But on a general note, apart from yourself, which I absolutely adore what you said this morning, I'd absolutely resonated with me. In the middle of COVID, I have a lot of wonderful, wonderful artistic friends. And in the middle of COVID, I started to worry about them. What are they going to do? How are they going to make their money? Somebody should do something. And then it was because of my influence from SWAP for over 30 years that I realised I was somebody. And I actually started Brisbane, the Brisbane Artisan Expo out of wanting to help people. And now this Saturday, we're having our third Brisbane Artisan Expo, and I've decided on, because of a number of things that happened this year, that I'm actually going to go bigger than ever next year. So I'm going to register the business. I'm going to have a website. We're already on Instagram and Facebook. It's going well. People are talking about it. I really didn't mean it to. I was just helping a few people out, but it's grown bigger than Ben-Hur.
That's great.
And I've embraced it. I've thought, I love this. And what you said earlier about waking up every day, and if you love what you're doing, you never work for the rest of your life. I mean, I loved working, as in, you know, when I had a job, but I'm really in love with doing what I'm doing now. And I wake up every day, and that's the first thing on my mind. Who can I go and see today that will be the best of their genre, or the best of the best in their genre, that I can talk to about becoming part of the Brisbane Artisan Expo. So it's growing like topsy, all out of me wanting to help people. And it was the what that got me. I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how. And then I started talking to, I did a mind map and started talking to the right people, and it all came together. I've had my fingers crossed. The first one was an absolute blow-away success. So was the second one, and we're on our third one this Saturday.
It's no accident that Sylvia is our entertainment director. She is promoter extraordinaire.
Well, knowing about the what's so important, because what happens regularly, I find, we run seminars here on this TV show for 30 people. It happened for the last 2 years because of COVID. Actually, we got our first one on this weekend, would you believe, a hybrid and a few Queenslanders in the room. But one of the things we find, that's the number one thing with the what. People say, well, look, a woman said, I love cooking and I love keeping home and having parties. She said, but if I'd spent that as the thing I woke up to every day, how would I make any money out of it? So, well, that's how Martha Stewart started. Another woman said to me, I just love talking. She said, I've got a radio show on the side. I just love talking, but there's no money in it. I said, that's what Oprah Winfrey did. She's worth $6 billion. And Roger Federer, I know Roger Federer, and all Roger ever wanted to do is get up at 4 a.m. and hit balls and beat the next guy. He doesn't even know how much money the guy makes. He just knows that's what he's going to do, and that's what he does. So the thing about the what, once you decide what you really want to do, if you're thinking about, but how would I make a career? How can I make money out of it? Then you're going to be lost at that point. So you decide the what and make it full stop, end of story, over and out. Because the reality is, if somebody else in the world has already done what you want to do, and I'm sure they have, and they've done it successfully and make a great career out of it, well, why can't you do it? You know it can be done. It's not like you're inventing something from the ground up, which is a lot more sticky to be able to do that. But just decide your what, and you will see that people are doing it. Now, I mentioned Oprah and Martha Stewart, and somebody said, that guy said to me, I love beating people up. How do I make money? Mike Tyson made $400 million out of it. I mean, for every Oprah Winfrey and every Mike Tyson, and every Martha Stewart, there are tens of thousands of people who you've never heard of who make enormously successful livings and who love getting up at the first thing at the dawn and feeling excited about the day. And that's why you should only wake up doing what you want to do. And if you're not doing that now, you've got to make a plan to get out of that. It doesn't mean you go and quit what you're doing because you've still got to put food on the table, but you make a decision by a certain day, you'll be doing what you want to do. Don't think about how, just decide that's the date, that's the time, and the how will appear all around you, TV and your emails on your screen. It will come from people you know.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Alan. We really appreciate your today. As a matter of fact, this meeting right now is a testament to exactly what you've been saying. 3 years ago, a group of us decided we would like to get SWAP going again. We had no idea how. We had no idea where it was going to lead to, but here we are. This is our second meeting, and I think we've proven that we're back, that we are back, and we're going to have a meeting every month. And the next meeting is our Christmas meeting, which is Tuesday the 7th. All right, so put that in your diary. Tuesday the 7th, we're going to have another big meeting for Tuesday the 7th. So we're going to end today as we normally start, which is I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel great. So are we all ready? Let's do our exercises.
Unmute yourselves, please. Everybody unmute.
Unmute yourself. Get your exercises. Are we ready?
I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel great. And I feel great. I'm alive. I'm well.
I'm alive. I'm well. I feel great.
Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for the invite.
Bye. Thank you.
Keep
swapping.
From the neck up.
Thank you so much.
Next month.
Hey, Patty, who had the best quote?
Oh, yeah.
Best quote.
Yeah, we didn't get a
Just
thoughts, Judge.
quick quote. It's interesting that you raised that, Rod, because you said I live in a place with 700 odd people. Okay. And I thought, well, when you moved there was 701 odd people living there. Okay. The winner today is, where are we here? Rowena Price. Give us your thought again, please, Rowena.
Was, yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
My thought was, hang on a minute. Change the paper. 7 days without laughter makes 1 week.
1 week. Good. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Well done, boys. Well done, girls. Nice stuff.
Oh, Lorna.
Let's do it again soon. Bye
Well,
for
we
now.
wouldn't have had it like this without the lockdowns.
Bye,
There's
Lorna.
always a silver lining.
Yeah, there's always a
Bye,
silver
Alan.
lining.
Nice to see you.
Thanks so much, Alan.
See you at convention.
Hi, Lorna. We didn't see you earlier.
I was hiding, but I was listening. I'm here and I'm alive and I feel great. And I'm in the rain.
How about we give you number 19 with Walter? Is that okay,
No.
Charlie?
You've got a horse.
Number 19, good number.
Yeah.
Which gate do you go to collect the winnings for the horse?
Well,
we'll
we
send you a check.
That's a horse in the Melbourne
The check's
Cup,
in the
boys.
mail.
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. Good-o.
Do you take credit cards?
I might go hungry, I think.
Hi, Leslie.
Bye.
See you, man.
Bye. Bye, Leslie. I'll talk to you soon, Leslie.
Oh, we love you all to bits.
Yeah, love you all.
Bye, Leslie. Bye. See you,
Bye,
sweetheart.
Susan.
Bye.
Bye, Charlie. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
He's
Bye.
gone.
Good to see you, Walter.